It is 9:33. I would like to call this meeting of the Housing Authority of Travis County to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Chair Jimmy Pedro.
Present.
Vice Chair Cheryl Warren.
Present.
Commissioner Wilma Roberts.
Present.
Commissioner Judy Flores.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great. Okay, on to item number 2, public forum citizen communication. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak?
She's not for the general item.
Okay, great. All right, item number 3, the consent agenda. Do we approval of the minutes from the July 11th, 2024 regular meeting? Do you have a motion?
I so move.
All those
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Item B, approval of the minutes from the May 23rd, 2024 Board of Commissioners retreat.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes for the May meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
For technical reasons, since Judy wasn't here for those 2 meetings, does that the record should be
She can elect to vote if she chooses,
Okay.
or she can recuse herself, either way.
Okay.
And I do have some minor changes, like just a few words that's missing or whatever, but I'll get those to you.
okay.
With the state, I guess with the corrections, I'll amend the motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to item A, resolution number HATC 2024-11 to approve the legal opinion for the closeout from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development through the termination of the public housing annual contribution contract, to authorize the execution and delivery of documents and instruments necessary to carry out the contemplated actions necessary to take other actions related to the subject. So,
Yes.
resolution.
Thank you for reading all that.
Yeah, sure.
So this is kind of sort of an irony. This is almost 7.5 years late, but we converted from public housing to project-based rental assistance back November 1st of 2016. As a result, what happens is the subsidy that you get from HUD is part of what they call annual contributions contract. That changes when you convert to project-based rental assistance. So this is, we offered an opinion back in 2022. For some reason, we are doing it again, but we just are following direction and guidance as per HUD's request. So this is essentially officially closing out that contract, even though it's been almost 8 years. So that was what this effectively does. Mr. Blunt, who was here at the time, offered the same legal opinion he offered the last time, and that's what's included in your package. So upon your approval, we will submit that to HUD, and we should officially not have to hear about annual contributions contract anymore.
Okay. Questions?
I have a question. I move that we approve resolution number HATC 2024-11.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, on to B, resolution number HATC 2024-12 to approve entering into Texas Palmer Austin CCFLP as a general partner and ground lessor of the property known as Bellingham Apartments, 6816 Boyce Lane, Austin, Texas, including formation of appropriate entities to perform such roles and authorization of staff to take appropriate action to accomplish.
Thank you.
Wow.
So this opportunity came to us per the request of Naaman Howell, who had been previously working with Strategic Housing Finance Corporation on this project, and as formerly working with Strategic, I'm very familiar with the project. So we have Chris Sayers with Naaman Howell to provide some context for you, and we believe some of the discussion likely will take us into executive session, but for the purposes of providing an overview, we have Chris providing that information to us. We do have Melissa Fisher with Rise Residential, who is the entity in which we would be partnering with to go into this, to consummate this relationship. So she is also here available for questions. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris. We also have Cliff Blunt on the line, in addition to Jim Plummer is on the line.
Okay. Morning.
Hi, I'm Chris
And
Sayers.
Chris, if you would, I'm sorry, would you just make sure you
course.
go up to the front and then just introduce yourself again. Thanks.
Good morning, I'm Chris Sayers at Naaman Howell. We, as Patrick mentioned, represent Strategic on this project. This is a affordable development, a bond transaction that closed a few years ago. It's my understanding now, and Melissa can correct me if I'm wrong, but the project is now complete, construction's complete, and they're in the process of converting from the construction phase of the financing to the permanent phase of the financing with Freddie Mac. And as part of that conversion, they are looking for a governmental entity partner to come in as general partner and owner of fee simple and ground lessor on the project. And Strategic was originally is the bond issuer on the project. So there's a tax exempt bonds out there on the project, and as part of, as I mentioned, the conversion, they're looking for, I guess at this point, HATC to come in as general partner and ground lessor on the development. This is a little bit different because you're not coming in from or if you approve this, you wouldn't be coming in at the very beginning. You'd be coming in now that the completion's already essentially happened, and so it's a little bit different of a transaction in that sense, but you know, should theoretically reduce some of the risk of the construction not happening, that type of thing for the housing authority. But that's the very kind of high level overview of, I think, kind of what's being considered.
Okay. Do we have anything in terms of a term sheet or any fleshed out details, or is this just a motion to
No, there's some general
say
terms.
this project is coming
I
out
would
of us?
suggest we just allow Cliff to walk us through that. We do have in your packet the resolution that generally outlines the terms, but it may behoove us just for the sake of the public to sort of walk through that methodically with Cliff and with Jim, if that's
Yeah, and it
appropriate
would also
business.
help me to understand why
correct.
Strategic did not
That is correct.
keep this, and why is
Absolutely.
it coming to HATC?
We can,
Yes.
all those
We'd
things
like to
should be
know.
discussed.
Okay.
Do we need to go into
Into
executive
executive.
session?
Yes, that's
for
what
that?
I was suggesting. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody make a motion?
I so move
Oh, what do you move?
to executive session, going into executive session.
I second.
All those in favor?
So we're gonna do it right. We're gonna, I'll have the chair announce that we're going into closed session
Okay.
under the real estate exception of the Texas Open Meetings Act,
Yeah, that's-
and then announce the time that we go into closed session.
Okay. Where's the?
here's
It's the last, it's on the back page of the agenda.
Okay. I would like to announce that we are going to go into executive session under Texas Government Code, annotated 551.072, real property.
And the time.
So,
And the time is 9:42 a.m.
and so I so move with that correction.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Of Travis County to order. The time is 10:30 a.m.
Roll call.
Roll call, please. She's not here.
Chair Jimmy Paver,
Present.
Vice Chair Cheryl Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Wilma Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Judy Flores.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. So I want to go back and revisit resolution number HATC 2024-12 and make a motion to instruct our executive director, Mr. Patrick Howard, to pursue additional information on this particular resolution.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay.
Who made the motion? You-
Cheryl did.
And then
Cheryl
you
made the
seconded. I'm
motion,
sorry,
I
you seconded.
seconded.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brown.
Okay. Moving on. To discussion items. Travis County Child Care Initiative, Kathy McCourse, Coalition Manager, United Way, Greater Austin. Welcome.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. I realize y'all have a tight meeting, so I'm going to skip a few of my slides and keep it to the meat. Appreciate being here. As you mentioned, I'm Kathy McCourse. I am currently working with United Way for Greater Austin as the Coalition Manager for the Affordable Child Care Now effort. You may, you can go to the next slide.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh,
You've
sure.
got a soft
Is this
voice.
not? Oh, okay, awesome. Affordable Child Care Now is a broad coalition convened by the United Way for Greater Austin that is supporting equitable access to affordable quality child care for all. And this is just an example of the leadership at United Way for Greater Austin, joined by the leadership at the Andy Roddick Foundation that leads out of school time efforts. You can go to the next slide. This group has been working for over 2 years to bring forward an Affordable Child Care Now initiative with Travis County Commissioners. You may have heard that yesterday they voted in favor unanimously to put a ballot measure on the November ballot to bring to the voters for the community. And I'm just here today to educate you about what this involves. On the screen, you'll see some of the organizations that have been part of the planning process and leadership. We have been working, I just wanted to note, the Children's Funding Project is a national nonprofit organization that has worked with 48 other local municipalities to bring forward voter-approved, dedicated children's funds in various communities across the country, and they've provided technical assistance to us on this project. Next slide. So this is a snapshot from our May meeting with Travis County Commissioners Court, which was an initial briefing with them on this initiative. And then again, as I said yesterday, they voted unanimously to move it forward. And what that means is if voters approve the initiative, Travis County would have a $75 million annual dedicated fund to expand access to high quality child care from early childhood up through grade 12. Next slide. This slide demonstrates the benefits of access to high quality child care for all on that continuum from cradle to career. Just noting that in the first 3 years, we're really focused on the healthy development of young children. That really impacts how they show up to kindergarten and school readiness. Less than half the children of Travis County enter kindergarten developmentally on track to be successful with the curriculum that's offered at that time. Then we also know that what happens during out-of-school time impacts children's school success in elementary, middle, and high school. And we know from at the bottom, you can see that access to these supports ensure that parents can go to work, be productive at work, and make sure that their family can thrive. Next slide. Not only are there significant benefits to affordable child care, but we have opportunity costs, and there's an urgency to act now. These are some issues that we're facing in our community that are being addressed if this initiative is successful. We have growing workforce needs for our businesses in our community. We need middle-skilled employees in our jobs, and without access to high-quality childcare, parents are unable to participate in the workforce. Travis County childcare costs are higher than any other place in the state of Texas due to our affordability challenges in Austin. Unfortunately, child care providers cannot address these costs without passing costs on to families. And we need to address that because right now costs are higher than a year of tuition at UT on average. Accessibility, we still have a number of child care deserts in Travis County, notably Del Valle. And as I said, school readiness, especially for children who are born and in their early years during the pandemic, are really challenged with some of their developmental skills and are entering kindergarten needing more support. So we're really paying now rather than investing early. We're paying to remediate. And as I mentioned, we know about summer learning loss when children aren't in high quality programs or supported during the summer hours. This is an issue of equity in our community. Our children of color disproportionately lack access to high quality, affordable care. Next slide. I'm going to skip this one. Just background to this, as I said, there's been groups working on this for over 2 years as part of our early childhood strategic planning process. Hundreds of organizations have been part of the planning for how this investment could be reinvested in our children, families, and community. These were the guiding principles and goals addressed in the planning process. So I just wanted you to be assured that there was significant thought given to how these dollars would be invested. And then this next slide is a snapshot of these recommended investment strategies that Travis County would be charged with implementing if successful. And I'm going to go through each one quickly. The first one, the vast amount of money would be invested in high quality early childhood education that is full day year-round care for our children under age 4 who aren't able to access public pre-K. These are the most expensive seats to provide care for, and it's also the most rapid period of brain development for our youngest children. Right now, there are over 5,000 children on the waiting list at Workforce Solutions for state-funded child care subsidies. We are only funded in Travis County for 3,000 seats for children birth through age 12. When parents go to that waiting list, they see a note that they can expect to wait for 2 years on the waiting list. This investment would address the 41% of those children who are under age 3 and waiting for care, and their parents are either working or in school or training. This would fund child care programs to create new capacity and would reimburse them at a rate that meets their true costs, that would help them improve compensation for their staff. The state subsidy reimbursement rates are at about 50 to 75% of their actual costs. So they tend to pass on those costs to the families who are paying for full-time care, and that is what's driving up our costs in Travis County. We would also use funding to supplement existing subsidized care so that those child care programs who are receiving child care subsidies are equitably compensated, so wherever the children are, the compensation is the same. The next slide, investments would also be made in after-school and summer programs. The first strategy would create about 2,000 new slots for infants, toddlers, and 3-year-olds. This would create about 4,000 new slots in after-school and summer programs where we have 3 children waiting to get in for every child that's in a program. And again, this would fund high-quality programs. The next strategy is investing in our care that is during non-traditional hours. Early morning, evening, and weekends are most of our child care programs basically all only offer care during a traditional business day. And many key industries in our community really need care during those other hours, thinking of our first responders, our healthcare system, our construction workers. We did have a study by the Urban Institute locally that showed that, again, our families living with low income are disproportionately working these hours, and that's what the graph on the slide shows. So 62% of children with working parents during non-traditional hours have family income at the poverty level, and then just above that is 53% have low income, so 250% of the federal poverty level. Next slide. This is a systemic investment. So not only will the funding create new capacity and fund children who are on waiting lists, but it will also invest in the systems to make these many small business owners, provide them support in using technology, accessing business skills, and really moving their business model to a more efficient business model. Many of our child care providers still work with pen and paper and don't really use the resources that are available to many small businesses. We want to make them more efficient so they can invest their time in coaching their staff and meeting family needs. This would also include dedicated funding for individuals who want to provide licensed or registered care in their homes, but face financial barriers to becoming licensed. And so if they need to fence their backyard or they need to buy a fire extinguisher, they would have funding to overcome those financial barriers and build new capacity in our community. And then the last strategy is really a public-private partnership addressing affordability by providing matching funds to employers who contribute to the cost of childcare for their employees, specifically those employees who earn too much to qualify for a local subsidy, but are really struggling to afford the cost of care. And this has been implemented in several states like Kentucky, North Carolina, Michigan. And in Michigan, the example, it's a tri-share. We're not intending to recommend that it would be a required tri-share for the employer, but a match for whatever they invest. And this could be scaled down based on increasing family income. This snapshot just shows the total number of children and families that would be impacted by each investment strategy annually. So over time, we multiply this out. And then, of course, our quality capacity building would be invested in the child care programs themselves. So you can see the numbers of programs that would benefit on the other side. This funding would come into Travis County and would be administered through Travis County through procurements out to the community to apply to implement these programs and services. There's not an intent to grow a new arm of Travis County government. There would be a community advisory or oversight board appointed or through applications, and there's budget in the funding for regular independent evaluations of the expenditures to make sure that that funding is having the intended impact, and if not, it would be that would be used to inform adjustments to the program. There are ripple effects from investing in the child care system, just like there are costs to not investing. We project conservatively that there would be over $300 million in new revenue in Travis County by stimulating the industry, having parents who are unable to participate in the workforce now be able to go to work or participate in school. Also increase productivity for parents who are in the workforce and know that their children are in high quality care, they have consistent care, and they can take those extended hour shifts, et cetera. We project about over 6,000 new employees in the workforce, and over a 12-year snapshot, we would anticipate 45,000 families being impacted. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. I just have a quick question. What's the city doing?
Well, that's a great question. They have been doing a lot of efforts on looking at their policies that would support child care programs. For example, they have fee waivers now for programs that are high quality and accept children that use subsidies, so fire inspection, et cetera. This was intentionally focused at the county because if the city were to do a ballot measure, then that funding would be constrained to the city of Austin.
I see.
And so we advocated for this to be a county measure for a wider impact on families.
Okay.
But they're very, very supportive. of
So
this
$75 million dedicated year over year?
year over year.
Wow, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who are there any outside entities that are involved in that, and how would they, other than the traditional methods that you did, how do they access that money?
So our understanding is that Travis County will develop procurements for these different investment strategies, and then entities within the community could apply to be the implementer of the funds. Workforce Solutions does administer child care subsidies right now. It is possible they could apply to do so, but there are other entities that would do that. And then the child care programs would work with the vendor selected to implement the strategies. Did that make sense?
Yeah, and then what's the ask for us?
Really, I'm just here to educate you and make sure that you're aware of what this involves.
It's just, we're usually being asked for something.
Yeah.
People get nervous up
there.
And I want to make sure we.
Yes.
Well, and speaking with Kathy, you did say we potentially could write a letter of support.
Yes.
Try to just be an advocate, maybe put things on our website about the initiative, and show our wholesale support for this.
Sure.
Yeah, the other question is, and I won't belabor it, HUD has funded a program for the Housing Authority to build child care facilities, and how would that collaborate or interact with that? Is that something that we could
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, it requires a little more explanation, but it's a little outside of the scope of this. But I think in the future there's a possibility for some collaboration, and I imagine that there'd be a nexus between the two, if in fact that would be pursued. But it's not that straightforward. But
Okay.
yes.
Well, it takes some work. Okay. Well,
Yes, thank you. I just really think about the population of families that you are serving, and they are most likely to be those on that waiting list, waiting for care and could benefit from this expanded access. And the cross point of housing affordability and childcare is, you can't extricate them. They're
Right.
commingled very much. So, thank
Well,
you.
congratulations on your ballot measure.
Thank you. Thank you. And
We
if
wish you all the best.
if you're interested as an individual in learning more, you can go to affordablechildcarenow.com, and we'll send out emails. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks for
very
your
much.
service to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's try and speed things along here. Item B, introduction of the general counsel. Patrick.
Yes, we have some background information in today's packet. We also provided some when you all approved the selection of the general counsel. I'm not sure of Corey Rogers so Corey Rogers with the Rogers Law Firm is the other firm that was selected specifically to deal with landlord-tenant issues, and they've been with us for some period of time. So at some other point, we will have him come and speak. But we do have Charlie Zeck here, and I'm just going to allow him to provide an overview about what his background, his experiences, and whatever else he wants to share. So
So I'll make it fairly quick. My name is Charlie Zeck. I'm with the firm Denton, Navarro, Rodriguez, Bernal, Santee, and Zeck. We've been around since 1990. All we do is represent local governments. That's it. So housing authorities, economic development corporations, cities, counties, in any capacity that they need, anywhere from general transactional issues. We have a board certified real estate lawyer on staff. We have a board certified employment lawyer on staff. Lowell Denton is a board certified trial lawyer. And so anywhere from the general transactional to even if both insurance claims, if it's a covered claim, to direct hire, if it's not a covered claim, all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. We have actually had 2 cases go before the United States Supreme Court, most recently during this last term. So we run the gambit, but only for local governments. And I'm here to help, I'm here to serve. I'm humbled by your confidences in us. And it's not just me, it's the entire firm that brings the resources to the table for your use. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, including, no, I'm not Kenny Rogers. He's dead.
No, we are delighted to have you here. I long awaited. I think that we will definitely benefit from your presence.
Thank you.
And I've already seen evidence of that today.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It correcting us on going in.
Yes.
Well, we'll take a little bit of
Appreciate
time to just sort of set a course, and then everything will
love
be
it.
smooth.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
what
Thank
we've
you.
been missing for a long time.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you so
I'm
thank
glad that I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Charlie
Okay.
will also be providing an overview of the Open Meetings Act at the, did we say September meeting?
Yeah, I think we said the next week.
Yeah, it's next meeting, so that'll actually check the box for those who are haven't done that yet, but we will have an overview, and he'll provide that to us next month. So you'll receive a certificate as a result of the presentation.
Our presentation has been certified by the Attorney General as compliant with the statutory requirements to take the training. So.
Awesome.
Can't
Thank
wait.
you. Yes.
All right. Item C, Carson Creek. Carlos.
Hi, good morning, board members and new member, board member Judy. I wanted to provide you some background just to kind of catch you up on what's happened with Carson Creek. We performed a property condition assessment fall of 2023. We also conducted additional in-house as well as contractors inspections. We finally outlined a request for a proposal so that contractors can bid on the project. We finally selected a contractor, and a relocation team as well is in place for these for our renovation project at Carson Creek. As of today, roofs have been replaced at 6 required buildings over at Carson Creek. The residents did not need to be out of their unit for those things to have happened. Unfortunately, we do have 3 vacant units. One was a skip. The other moved out on its own. All the interior demo has been completed for 2 of the 3 vacant units. Exterior siding is now being completed for those buildings that are completely empty now. We do have several tenants now that have temporarily relocated over to Colorado Creek as well as Residology. We have anticipated move-outs happening this week as well on those for that. We do also, I have talked to the contractor and he does anticipate completing this entire renovation project within 4 months. We keep our residents updated on a weekly basis, posting notices to their door, as well as the CBR team, the relocation team, giving them calls, updating them on the next steps as far as what relocation is with relocations involved. I do have here Arlene Lozano. She is the representative from CBR, just to give you some insight on what's been happening with the relocation and the communication she's kept with our tenants there as well. Arlene?
Yes, hi. Thank you for inviting me. This is really exciting. So, the relocation team, we have a crew of 4 members in our team that we are constantly keeping up with the transactions of relocation. Basically, when we started this project, one of the main concerns was just to create as smooth as possible transition for the tenants and just to keep a flow going. And so what we created was kind of a proactive measure to this project where we survey all of the tenants just so that we can connect with them, create a relationship, and set expectations as far as what are their needs. Many of the tenants in Carson Creek are elderly people, and so they do have medical concerns. Others have children, and so all of those things need to be met in order to be considered. I think that we have accomplished that with the tenants. We have created a relationship and we do keep in contact with them every day. We receive calls. I think sometimes it's been the relationship has been a little bit over because they've addressed other issues that are not related to relocation, which is kind of nice too. But for the most part, as of today, we have 8 tenants who have already moved, and we are still keeping contact with them. They're quite happy with their new temporary units. And then we still have some that we are still working through. There's a couple of issues that have come up as it normally comes up in relocation services, but nothing that cannot be addressed. As I said earlier, we have created a proactive measure. And from that proactive measure, we have come up with Plan A and then Plan B, which we have been able to put in place whenever there is a need. That Plan A just doesn't work out. So things so far, I want to say, are moving quite smoothly, and we anticipate to have all of the tenants from Carson Creek move out the latest by September 3rd. We were trying to do it by the end of the month, but due to Labor Day, things just had to be pushed a little bit further. I don't know if you have any particular questions for me or for my team. I do have Ms. Shannon Cobb and Mr. Mike Edens on as well.
Question?
I had a question for Carlos. When you said that you had a couple of tenants to skip,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
So skipping out, in a sense, just means that they moved out of the unit without giving us proper notice or telling us or informing us that they're moving out.
Okay, and then what's the implications to HATC for that?
So the management team here with Christina, what they do is they do a move-out procedure for that unit. First and foremost, we try contacting the tenants as well as the emergency contacts to just see if anything happened, right? Whether or not we have any type of contact with them so that we can see what's going on, whether or not they actually skipped. After that, if we don't receive any type of contact, we'll place a notice to vacate on their door. We wait the required amount of time. If there's no actual contact, then we'll move them out of the system and before move out procedures as well. which is, move-out cost associated with that. And we'll send out the move-out statement towards the end of the 30 days, and just hoping to see if we can get any contact from them.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing that I heard was that there was coordination with Big Austin. Are there any particular needs that they are addressing at this point?
With whom? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Big Austin.
Big Austin. So as of right now, actually Big Austin hasn't addressed anything like that with us, so.
Can we get an update from them? Patrick,
Sure, and
next
they
month?
should be on the line later on, but I will say that as Arlene articulated, most of the residents are elderly. So most of what they're asking, and she was very kind about how she was articulating what some of their issues. So they talk a lot about some of their medical issues, and so most of it has to do with appointments and things of that nature. So they're not necessarily asking for help, they're just sharing their situation. So in most cases, it's just the needs that they have. But there hadn't been any specific expressed needs per se regarding most of the residents. But I mean, Big has been out there talking to residents, but again, most of them are typically retired seniors, that sort of thing.
Is there any transportation or anything needed based on the relocation? And,
Correct. We have not had, and Arlene can speak to this a little bit better, but I mean, the reality of it is we've not had too many needs relative to transportation and the like, because they're in very close proximity to where they live currently. And ironically, majority of them are living at Colorado Creek, which is owned by Bill Fisher.
And then my last question is, we had what's the latest on the fall incident?
The insurance company denied her claim. They reviewed it, and it has been denied. Based off what we've done in our part as far as management, everything that we submitted that they requested of us, we did our proper due diligence on that.
And ironically enough, that's the unit where the individual actually vacated without a notice.
Oh, they're
Yes.
one of the
So
ones.
that person was a visitor, in fact, the
That is
relative
correct.
of one of the residents. She was not a resident. She
That
was
is correct.
visiting, or house sitting, I guess.
Right.
And that person actually is one of the people that
That's right.
skipped.
She wasn't a resident.
Sure. Carlos, so the interior demo has already been done on 2 of the units. How long is it going to take to get the rest of the units, or not, the 2 units that had the demo, how long is it going to take? for
Well,
that to
they're
be
actually
completed?
going to start on that this month.
Mhm.
That's anticipated this month. As soon as the tenants vacate, they're going to go inside of those units and start demoing all of them out as well.
Do you have a completion date estimate?
December of 2024.
Okay.
But as those units come online, you're going to start moving the tenants back in, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Anything else, Carlos? Okay. Item 6, CEO, Executive Director's Report, Voucher Programs. Christina.
Hi, good morning. The no-fill season is here, so we just got that notice last week for the new continuing with care renewal grant. I just wanted to say, I sat through a meeting yesterday with the head office, something positive. It's a 2-year no-fill, so once we apply and we hopefully get it again, ready for renewal, then we won't have to do this process again next year. So that is on the priority. Also, I just finalized all the admin plan changes for the upcoming year, and those will be coming your way. It should be posted this week for public commenting. So I'm going to be working with staff on training them on that. Also working on an amendment with the COC office, field office, so that we can go ahead and hire the social worker that we had last year. We want to go ahead and do that again. That was so beneficial, but we do have to move some funding through our budget line items to get that done. So we're working with the field office for that. Those are the priorities.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, moving on. 6, item B, Affordable Housing Programs. Carlos.
Hi, good morning again. Again, just giving you a bit of background information regarding the affordable housing team. We did hire on a management company to oversee the management duties for all of our portfolio. I have Christina here. She is the property manager there, and I'll have her speak a little bit more about the affordable housing side here in a little bit. Since management has taken over, we have encountered some difficulties, keeping some of the management staff in place, and although that has happened, we now have a full staff in place. We have all offices completely open Monday through Friday now, which is great. The residents do love it as well, having someone there at the property that they can talk to as well. We have encountered over the past month a couple of, one of the inspections over at Eastern Oaks as well. I've attached also their deficiency list, and although they gave us a deadline, we completed those 4 deficiencies prior to that deadline. So everything's now completed. We don't anticipate them coming back for another 3 years or so. We have also completed all of the housekeeping inspections. With us completing the housekeeping inspections, we have found that some of the units have also skipped out. So we have a couple of other vacant units there. Although we have those skips, we have more than enough applicants on the wait list, which have already been contacted. They're currently in the process, application process, being screened, gathering paperwork, such items, getting them qualified through the compliance team as well. With 2 new staff members on board, they are going to be training them this week. Actually, tomorrow they'll be training. All the staff will be trained with compliance so that we can get all the applications, recertifications, and then tackle on the delinquency at all properties as well.
Great.
I have Christina here. She's going to give you a bit of an overview of the progress at the properties right now.
Good morning, everyone. Lots of positive changes are happening. Our main priority is mending the relationship with the residents and ourselves. So now all residents are informed on our emails, our phone numbers. Our offices are open, so as they have questions, they come in, we address them. We wish that we can snap of a finger and get everything turned around fast. However, we anticipated via Alexander 100% occupied, but like Carlos mentioned, we did find 2 abandoned units that therefore put our occupancy back to where we were. However, we do have the applicants lined up and ready and going through the motion of the compliance and approval process. So by next board meeting, we should have all units filled and moved in by the next board meeting. Also, right now we're at 93% occupied at Alexander, 5 vacants. We do have applicants in the process of getting approved to move in. Our delinquency, my assistant manager did turn in his notice. However, we got another member aboard, and she's already tackling at that $42,525. We are now at the $133,847, and we're just basically identifying each case by case with the residents, and also seeking to give them a rental assistance, because now we have a new grant in place. So a lot of our residents, they're reaching out to us to give them a list to help our residents. So the delinquency should be going down very fast by the next board meeting, because that's our main focus as well, after we got all the leasing part going. And as well in Eastern, we are at we were at 100%. However, we had 4 move-outs due to the Section 8 voucher that were already in place. However, we do have applicants for those 4 vacants. Make-readies are starting. They are due to be completed by the end of this week, so they'll be ready to move in, as well as a plan of action for the future. I'm training the staff that as the notices come in, that's when they start looking for the next applicant for approval. So by the time they're turning in keys, we're just waiting the 5 days for the turnaround, which is the make-ready part, and then the tenant will be moved in within that week versus waiting and stuff like that. As well as Eastern, we are evaluating the delinquency as well, case by case. We are finding out that a lot of interims were not income changes was reported. So now that they're being reported, we are actually inputting them in the system and then adjusting rents. We did find like 2 or 3 units that need those type of adjustments. So by the time next board member meeting, we should be able to show a big drop in our delinquency because now we're cleaning up the ledgers as we speak. And then as far as Maynardtown, we have 3 vacants there. We do have the applicants in place. It's kind of harder to find applicants because of the 2.5 times the rent requirement that is being asked for, and most people on the wait list don't have income. So we are looking at different strategies for our marketing efforts to let the Maynardtown know that we have vacants available in that
Why is
portfolio.
Maynardtown 2.5 times?
Maynardtown, what?
The rent, why is it 2.5 times?
The minimum, it was a set requirement prior, so
Uh-huh.
it just kept consistent. So this is something that we're looking into to revise that in order for us to actually qualify them. Although the current set-asides are quite high as far as the rents based off the median income around the households. So we are also meeting with the TDACA as well, seeing if we can possibly amend it to lower those set-asides currently at 60%, seeing if we can possibly lower them to 30% rather. That way they could be more affordable. This is something, again, in the talks, nothing's been set
Yeah,
in
I
concrete
don't
just
know
yet.
why, but my understanding was always that they were deeply affordable units.
Right, correct. We're working through that process because typically TDACA funded projects are set at what the tax credit projects are, which means that you have to have a minimum threshold. So we're trying to work through that to make it official that we would be able to not require that for those vacant units.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
And I don't know if you guys want to ask this question about the 4 vacants because of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. As a result of us converting to PBRA, there's something called Choice Mobility, which means that is it 12 months or 24? 24 months. After 24 months of occupying a unit, a PBRA unit, you can actually put your name on the HCV waiting list and move up to the top of the list and get a voucher. And that's just part of the way the PBRA program works with HUD. So folks have been taking advantage of that and have decided to relocate. And so as a result, you have this sort of shift. But that's the situation.
I want to thank Christina for the efforts. I'm looking at the back row and it's clean this month, so.
Right.
And thank you for all you've done, and it has been a yeoman's job that you were able to buffer some of that out, and we thank you very much.
Thank you. You're
I
welcome.
have a question. Christina, the 142,000 in delinquencies, I know you said it dropped down to 138 now. How many families does that?
And it's combined. Alexander has 51 units, and then Summit, they're both combined. So total be 75, around 75 units total. So we're looking at like 75 families.
75 families. And how many of those families are actually part of that 142,000? What is your
Well,
percentage?
we're actually doing our investigation now. Now that my assistant manager has left the position and I'm training the next person, we're actually evaluating that now to see what is actually outstanding and what is due to an income change not reported or processed properly. So next board meeting, I will be able to have a breakdown for you, and I'll be able to show what was corrected, what is actually currently delinquent, who has payment plans, and who's actually seeking assistance. We are partnering up with the El Buen. They are requesting 5 tenants per property for us to assist, for them to assist. So I'm anticipating all 6 months of whatever outstanding balance to be paid in full. So things will be turning around. But just right now, I don't have those numbers, being that my assistant was over that. I'm barely coming in as of May, and so I'm barely doing some research and discover that, okay, there is some errors. So we're not really penalizing our tenants for that. We're actually trying to get everything back into compliance before we actually move forward with the eviction. Now, we did discover that there are some units that are frankly not complying, will not and we have to move forward with the eviction. They were served a 30-day notice, so our first set of eviction would be set for September. And that's only if the resident is in the same plan of not complying or not seeking the assistance that we're providing them, because they still have to do the footwork, turning in verification information to the organization, providing the funds. So for those tenants that are not wanting to go that route, we're just opting to move forward with the eviction. But before the eviction is in place, we thoroughly investigate the ledgers, also as well, getting them options and organizations that's willing to help them. And if they don't comply, then that's the route that we're heading. But I only have, like, offhand, just 2 in that situation as of right now who's non-compliant.
And of that 142,000 delinquency, is that also including maintenance charges too?
No.
No.
This
So
will be
how much
strictly-
do you have in maintenance charges that's owed?
Well, as of right now, I just conducted my housekeeping inspections. So we're barely, as the maintenance are repairing the damages, that's when I'm coming up with a charge list of what's being replaced. And then the resident will be able to be on a payment plan to cure that amount, to get their household back in compliance. And then, however, this part, there's no maintenance fees or anything in this delinquency amount.
You have a lot on your plate.
Yes, but I can do it.
We have El Buen Samaritano that you mentioned earlier. They do have about $2 million right now that they're able to assist our tenants with. So this is why we partnered up with them, to try to help our tenants as much as possible and get these funds down.
And I just want to reiterate what Mr. Roberts has said. As I go through all of the attachments and look at the list of submitted service requests and see so many completed, this really is great to see. And it's pretty much across the board is what I'm looking at. And the only thing that I see as pending service requests is over in Summit Oaks. So,
And parts just came in today, so they will be tackling those work orders this week.
that is really awesome.
You don't see anybody in the back row.
This is what we needed, right? To really be proactive and to provide people with a way to make requests. And therefore, we don't have these side discussions where, people are saying that something's not getting done and, we're not addressing it. This is evident that they have a process.
Yes.
And that process is being paid attention to. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Carlos, back to you, real estate development.
So prior to me taking over the real estate development, Keith was overseeing construction at Maynardtown 2. He left us, I believe, towards April of this year. I was overseeing it after he's been gone. Maynardtown 2, I've been out there with our architect conducting the draw inspections, seeing the progress of the property itself. We had actually encountered a delay with the generator. Right now, the generator was installed. We have electricians working on at Maynardtown 2 having the permanent power back on. They do anticipate, this was last week, so they anticipate it to be completed within 3 weeks. And so now, once the permanent power is on, they're going to start completing some of the major work, like the elevator, for instance, the flooring, the vinyl flooring, placing in all the appliances as well. Now, the anticipated closeout date for this is now October the 1st.
You mean transformer?
Yes, the transformer.
Okay. Right.
Wait.
You said generator.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
The transformer, yes.
Okay, that's great news.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we are prepared with the applicants, we're already processing applicants now for pre-approvals. So once that building is released to us, we'll be able to have everybody occupy them as fast as possible.
And how many, what's 19? How many?
20.
20.
Yeah.
Are you doing a lottery? Is that what you do?
So you want to explain how we did with the current Maynardtown residents. We gave them preference before we put it out for the general populace in terms of, the
Right.
list. But you want to share like what that process was and how many current Maynardtown residents are on that
I'm
list?
just curious how many people are switching to the newer units.
Yeah.
Well, we do got 9 families that are interested. We had 16 of them. However, I did it's a set aside at a lower percentage, 30%. So household that had two occupants with 2 Social Security would not qualify. So they're staying there. And I did wean through those applications. So 9 at the moment are the ones that are actually qualifying for the 30% set aside.
Okay, great.
And Miss Regina is one of them as well, that she is going to be moving. I know that was one of them BASTA complaints that we had. We did accommodate her toilet, so it is to her height. And also, we are transferring her to an accessible unit at Maynardtown too. So she's excited about that, and she's willing to wait. And no further authorization is needed to her unit as far as a door, and her she wants to wait for the new property to come aboard. So she's happy, and she got BASTA out her hair too.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Finance, Subra.
Good morning. So what I have in the board packet is the financials for 6 months, for a 6-month period with period ending June 30th of 2024. So we are 6 months into the year, and because we had, vacancies at the properties, we had to provide some cash, infusion of cash so that they can pay their bills. So for the 6-month period for Sea Oaks, which is a tax credit property, we have advanced $365,000 to date, through June 30th. So since it's a tax credit program, property, it's a loan, so it will stay on the books as a loan. And we have advanced $155,000 to Eastern Oaks, which is just a conventional PBRA. That would likely be a contribution at the end of the year. Since the Carson Creek, the rehab is going to cost us $1.6 million. Which other question? $1.6 million, and that would come out of the TCFC set-aside funds.
Okay.
The question on that 365, you said is going to be stay on the books as a loan. They have the ability to pay that loan back, or what?
Well, we started off the year with like almost 15 or 16 vacancies.
Yeah.
So now they are kind of getting towards a high vacancy, 90% or hopefully 100%. So that should bring in a lot more cash flow to the property. However, the subsidy is also very low for the PBRA properties, both the Eastern and Sea Oaks. So, recouping it is, there's already a lot of big loans from HATC to the tax credit property. I don't see us recouping it, in the short term. At least if they are self-sustaining, that would be good. But hopefully by the end of the year, they could be self-sustaining. I don't know. But every month I've been having to send $50,000 to the property to, for them just to pay the bills.
Well, Patrick, with the increase in income coming in, do you anticipate?
So contract rents are very low. We talked to the HUD office to try to figure out with PBRA, could we make an appeal for contract rents, and of all the housing authorities in the country, only 2 have made an appeal or been successful to try to adjust the rents so that we can get more subsidy. So as Super alluded to, I mean, it's likely that we will always be somewhat, I mean, we will keep vacancies very
We will
low,
subsidize
and
it.
which will obviously minimize that delta, but there will probably be a delta unless something substantial changes, honestly. But obviously, as we become more efficient, hopefully that'll be the way it is. But I mean, we were probably just, it's very, it's unlikely. I mean, it's just a very narrow margin, and again, the contract rents that we get for those units are just low, and HUD's is not entertaining, like, trying to increase that number despite all the
So
costs. that
we're
we
just
have.
gonna have to grant that at some point.
That's essentially what we, and yeah, like you said, he carries it in the books, end of the year, we'll convert it to, you know, a permanent, basically, loan that we've given them, or, for that matter.
All right.
But thank goodness we have projects to be able to compensate for that, but that's exactly what the situation is.
Thank you.
So, as I said, the 1.6, the rehab for Carson Creek, 1.6 million will come out of the ECFC set-aside funds. And,
How much does that leave us with?
let me see.
It's an ungodly amount of money.
It should, I don't have it with me.
We had 4, did we start with
We've
4?
already, we have with the 2 million that we're gonna be forwarding to, advancing to NRP for the buy down of the 30% units, we're probably looking at like
Yeah.
maybe 800,000 left.
800 left in the set aside.
Yeah.
No, we have, ECFC set aside, we have 5 million.
Yeah, that's what I.
Okay, I was being very conservative with that, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But I was talking about we're gonna be providing 2 million of
Oh,
the set
okay.
aside to NRP,
Okay,
right, for the
All right.
buy down, so that's 3.6 when you add it up, so that's what I'm saying,
So you-
I said
We
800,000.
still have
we're
about
lower than that.
1.4 left.
Yeah, about
based on
1.4.
those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's replenish that.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Subra. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Item E, organizational development. Patrick.
Yeah, so we'll be a little bit quick about this. So we are obviously doing a little reorganizing, which starts with we revamped the position vacated by Steve and referring to it as a Chief Operations Officer. I think we have the job description in the packet. And we are conducting interviews here in the next week for that position. We have some very good candidates. Very good candidates for that, and so we'll be doing that on next week. Additionally, we created a part-time position for a portability specialist to really help us with that component, and we're still trying to find a good candidate for that, and as Christina alluded to, when we are going to continue to sort of massage the social work position a bit, and then go out for that, because we had no success, as you know, with Olivia, who is no longer with us. She's in Colorado, correct? Yeah, having the time of her life, so we will find someone to replace her. So organizational development. Additionally, we're obviously still working on doing professional development, still encouraging both the board and staff members to continue to go to training and to help continue to advance the organization. So that's it for organizational development.
Okay. Foundation, Patrick?
Yes, so we thought Big Austin was going to be online. However, if you look at the report, it looks vastly different from what we had seen in the past. We had asked him to be focused, to provide some summary of the activities to date. We are working with them very closely to look at better metrics and better understanding of who we're serving and how we're serving them. So there's much to be said with respect to where we are. I'm going to tell you that we will put out another solicitation in November. Their contract's up at the end of December, and we will see what happens at that point. But I think we've had mixed success over the past year, I think partly due to maybe some lack of clarity relative to what their specific role is, but we're going to be working on that a little bit more and then clarifying that. That being said, we did get funded for an FSS position. We're still trying to figure out how to accept the grants. But we do have an FSS position, and we will be working on trying to make the FSS component of what we do sync with what the work of Big Austin is, to have them complement each other. So we're going to be working on that in the next couple months.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're taking a look at that, because based on what that this past year, I had not been satisfied. Okay.
Yes, sir. We, yeah, just a number of different things, but
Yeah.
we are trying to right the ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. 7, board committee reports. Item A is board committee appointments. Patrick sent a list of suggestions, all of which I agreed with. Anybody who wishes to serve on a particular subcommittee or board is welcome to say so now. But as of right now, the assignments that I'm going to propose that we make are the executive committee is going to consist of myself and Commissioner Brown. The Governance, Finance, and Administration Committee will consist of Commissioner Roberts and our new commissioner, how do you say her last name? Gotchi?
Michaela, help me.
Okay. Commissioner Gotchi. The Human Resources Committee will consist of myself and Commissioner Flores. The Real Estate Committee will consist of Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Flores. And then the HATC Foundation Liaison will consist of Commissioner Gotchi. And the HATC 50th Anniversary Planning Committee will consist solely of Commissioner Roberts. If anybody has any input, changes to that, I'm happy to entertain anybody who wants to move around. But that's where they stand for now.
Can you email me the appointments?
We will update the website
Yeah,
accordingly, assuming there's no objection.
You got one where you've got 1,
Two.
2, just 2.
Okay.
It's equitable.
Has someone spoken with Commissioner, what's her name?
Gotchi.
Gotchi?
How do you say, what's her first name?
I'm not going to attend. I'm going to call her the Commissioner Laura. But, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
everybody's got 2.
Yes, we have talked to her generally about her interest. I think that there would be no specific objection, but I hadn't officially asked because obviously that would be the chair's.
Right.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
can reach out to her and ask her if she's interested in, and I can send that document around to
Okay,
Well,
great.
she,
Yeah.
Michaela said she'd email it to you.
Okay,
Okay.
wonderful.
Yes,
The
yeah.
appointments. Okay.
Okay. If there's no further discussion on that. Item B, Governance, Finance, and Administration Committee, I assume no report.
No.
Human Resources Committee, no report. Real Estate Committee, no report. New and unfinished business, Board of Commissioners Handbook.
Yes, so so we as staff were sort of going around, trying to figure out the best way to approach some of this. And what we found is that the NARO Commissioner's Handbook was very thorough and comprehensive, and felt like what really was necessary, instead of developing a handbook from scratch, that we would augment what our governing documents, as in the bylaws, articles of incorporation, and include that with the NARO handbook to create a compendium document which would constitute the Board of Commissioners handbook. That being said, we have contracted with Mrs. Kennedy, who we have shared about in previous meetings, to work on a bylaw revision. She provided us just yesterday evening a draft copy of the bylaws. We asked her at essentially the halfway point, provide us a draft so we can assess how far we are off from such, and what I'm going to ask is if I could get members of the governance committee to review that, if that's appropriate. And if that is the case, then I will add some comments and provide that to the governance committee to provide some feedback.
Also, if I may, you said the NARO handbook.
Yes, sir. And we bought those already, haven't we?
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
bought
but
copies of those.
Can you get a copy to look at and see if there's some mark-throughs or something of that nature?
So we bought copies for everyone, so we'll be providing those to you here momentarily.
Okay.
But yes, in my view, it's as comprehensive as I've seen. A couple states like Wisconsin and a couple others have commissioner's handbook. I mean, THA has a handbook, but I would say in my view it's as comprehensive and addresses all the things that you've raised regarding ethics, protocol, and the like that we've seen. So I think we are going to be in good shape as it relates to.
The only thing I would add, and I said this in the last board meeting, is some operational understanding of how TCFC works. And what we do there, I'm not sure if that's included in the narrow book, but that's an important component of training.
Yeah, so in my view, it wouldn't necessarily be per se. We have some reference documented materials. I did send out something about Tax Credit 101. Jim Plummer and I are working on putting something together, and he has offered to do a presentation to all members of the board. He knew that today it was not going to be a full complement, but we will work on figuring out the best time to do such, but he is prepared to do an overview of tax credits, specifically workforce housing, and all the other things that we've sort of delved into in recent years relative to opportunity. So he has offered to do that, and we're going to work on putting something together. So ideally at a separate board meeting or via Teams or Zoom, whatever is your pleasure, we're going to have that for you ready here soon.
Okay.
Is Jim leaving in December? Is that how will that affect us down the road? Is he'll still be on a ad hoc call or something of that nature?
Yeah. So any great person is always like someone supported him. So Summer Greathouse works with Jim. Honestly, she probably does most of the due diligence related to the projects. So she works with us. She's on conference calls with us. And she will likely be, you will probably see her in all the subsequent board meetings going forward, starting next month. But her name is Summer Greathouse, and she's been with the firm for some period of time. But she is very versed in such things. She's not Jim, but who is. So we feel like she will. We shouldn't miss a beat as it relates to that.
So, one of the other things that we talked about, Patrick, towards the beginning of the year was actually having an ethics committee as well.
Correct.
And when I look at the list that we have of committees, I don't know if that's something separate or should it be included under governance since it's kind of a bipartisan.
I'll talk with Charlie about that. I mean, as we talk about like what makes sense, and I'd like to speak with him about what would seem appropriate. You're on the spot now, so we won't necessarily delve into it. But we will come back to you with a recommendation of maybe the best way to approach that. We have an ethics policy in our HR policy that theoretically covers the board, but it seems not necessarily specific and appropriate enough, and it even makes reference to having an ethics committee, but it really isn't board-centric as it was. So it's kind of a blend, but there's been an expressed interest in obviously having an ethics committee. So the question would be like, how would it work, and what would be the appropriate place for articulating what that looks like, in terms of from the codification standpoint. So we will come back to you with something relative to that.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah. What about the deals that we just got approved from the county?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I can bring it up right now. So, at the Commissioners Court last week, we were successful in the county approving 4 more deals. So that means 8 to date, this year. And we are looking forward to at least 2 others, which, my goal would be 12 for the year. So we gotta reach for the stars. So we will hopefully have 2 other deals. One of them is actually, I'm very excited about this, off 620 in Travis County, in an area we've never been in terms of development.
Thank you.
Because most of them, obviously, as you know, are typically like west of 130, somewhere in southeast Austin. I mean, let's just face it, because of the land. But we do. There is some land actually that's actually reasonably affordable, and in a place where there's not very much affordability. So we're hoping to move forward potentially with 1 or 2 deals in that general area. So we are talking with the developer about such. I should inform you though that the PSH deals have had some challenges, and we relative to the structure. Okay, so the permanent supportive housing deals, you approved 3 permanent supportive housing deals. Sorry, I should not use acronyms to spell it out, but the permanent supportive housing deals in which we obviously agreed to give back the developer fee in order to help with operations, because obviously the cost of operations for 24/7 is pretty substantial. So they've been, getting funds committed by the county and the city and others to help them move forward with the project. So a couple of things came up relative to the development and how that was going to work with the for-profit entity developing their portion.
Is this Connor Kenny stuff?
Huh?
Is this Connor Kenny?
This is Connor Kenny's.
Yes, it was always a house.
It's
of
always
cards.
been a little nebulous, just because of the uncertainty relative to how they were going to raise all the funds.
Yeah.
Truth be told. So it may come back before you all, and Jim's recommendation is that we go back before the county. Just anecdotally, one of the issues was, and this typically doesn't happen in a typical workforce housing deal. You have basically co-developers. You have the for-profit developer, and then you have the collaborative, which is the nonprofits. So they're developing their portion, and the for-profit developer is developing his portion. Well, one of the things that came up was that there was not going to be shared amenities, and when that hit the fan, folks were like, "What do you mean you're not going to allow the low-income residents to be able to access the amenities?" Well, they're going to be developed at different times, and the nonprofits, honestly, were trying to do whatever they can to keep the deal afloat, and so they pretty much agreed to have that be the case. But no one liked that as far as a project. So when we approved these deals last week, all the developers had to write a memo stating that that would not be in fact the case relative to their projects, that there would never be a distinction between use of amenities relative to based on income tiering. So that being said, they're having some challenges timeline-wise. The other issue was that they were anticipating a delay in the construction. The county would like that to be done in 18 months to 2 years. It looks like it was going to last even longer in terms of the timeline. So they also had to agree, the development entities that got approved last week, that the county required them to ensure that the development would be done in 18 months to 2 years. So it will be revisited for the purposes of being very transparent about where things are, and just to ensure that they are compliant. So
it could come back to us.
It perhaps may come back to us, but at a minimum, it's going to be going to the county, which as you all know, it got approved before the requirement of it going to the county. But Jim feels like it would give all folks some comfort level if we actually took it to the county.
Put some meat on the bone.
Right. So, but you may hear about it again, and there's a possibility we may be revisiting it. But hoping not. But yes,
Great.
we have 8 projects approved and hopefully at least 2 more.
How many did we do last year?
We did, I think we did 8 last year.
Okay.
Is there any income coming in yet off of those? Where are we in the process?
So, well, should we want to tell briefly? So obviously Embry is fully completed, and we are very close with South First. We have gotten some funding, but Super Evans let you tell.
Funds from the full Bergstrom.
Correct. Citizen House with Endeavor has been, they've been making payments, so they're at various stages of development, of course, but we have been receiving some.
Just, we need to get some income coming in, because we spend.
Trying to prove deals as soon as,
Spend it, yeah.
Yeah, can we just have a summer, like, update?
I think it's in the packet, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but we'll provide,
Yeah.
there should be a TCFC.
Yeah, otherwise I emailed to all the commissioners too a couple of days ago.
But we'll be sending it, make
Yeah,
sure
I
you
can
have it.
resend
At
it.
the top of
I
your
will review
email.
it when we review TCFC.
Okay.
Well,
Or I could, from next month on, I could put TCFC together with it.
okay, so what he said is separate, but we didn't cover it today.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure we do.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll-
Okay,
All right.
we'll get a summary of that. Okay, future agenda items, BMHC presentation.
Yes, I got reached out to by former mayor of Manor, Wallace, who is now running this organization, and asked if he could present to the group. So I said yes, assuming there's no issue with that.
What's the ask?
Well, similar to today, they said there's no ask, other than the fact that he feels like many of the folks that they serve are folks that we also serve. So they would like, I'm not gonna say there's no ask at all, but from my understanding, there's no ask currently. But he wants to make us aware that they exist and that they're here to help.
Yeah, yes, I've met him. I met him at the groundbreaking. Okay, overview of the Open Meetings Act.
So
Right.
let me
Yeah.
just say
sorry.
one thing. When we have like these little informative presentations,
Yes.
if we could just let them know that they have maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 10.
More of a.
Well, it's my
summary.
fault. I did, Ms. McHorst said she needed 20 minutes, and I told her it was fine. But I will limit it, I will
Yes,
make
if
sure.
we could just,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
was-
I just give us the meat, and
Yeah.
I think we're good. We don't want to.
But she was very excited, so I didn't want to, I didn't want to stifle her excitement. But
What are you
we
talking
will,
about?
with Mr. Wallace, I'll make sure he
Yeah.
knows that he has limited, he has less time.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we had sort of a uniform policy on.
Yeah.
It's up to you,
Yeah.
if, whatever
Yes,
y'all,
We're gonna
whatever
give
your,
Bob- we're gonna give
whatever your
Boston 3
pleasure.
minutes every time.
Whatever your
Yeah.
pleasure is.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Future Open Meetings Act.
Yes.
Oh, we already did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Charlie
Okay.
will be providing that.
All right, is there any need to go into executive session?
None beyond what we've done.
Hearing none, is there a move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second.
Okay. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Good.